guessing that Jim will probably, when he returns next Sunday, will probably just do the sermon today next Sunday that he was planning on today. And fortunately, I had one on the pipeline already started, thinking that he'd probably be asking me in a week or two to preach for him. So I've been working on this for three weeks or so. So it's not one I just pulled out of the bag. Okay? Though I've preached on it before. And it's the story that we find in the 10th chapter of Mark, where James and John come to Jesus with a request. And I'm reading beginning in the 10th chapter, verse 35. So James and John, who were the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus. Teacher, they said, we would like you to do for us whatever we ask. But what do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked. And they replied, let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in your glory. Jesus said to them, you do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup I drink or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? Oh, we can, they answered. Jesus said to them, yes, you will drink the cup I drink, and you will be baptized with the baptism I'm baptized with. But to sit at the right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared. Now when the other 10 heard this, they became indignant with James and John. And so Jesus called them together and said, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles, they lord it over the people, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. May God bless the reading of his word to our heart and to our mind and to our thinking this day. Would you join me as we pray? Oh, gracious God, you give us words that are difficult, Lord, to understand and embrace. Lord, it's not easy being a servant, especially when people don't appreciate what we're doing. And yet, Lord, that is the example of Jesus, our Lord, who challenges us not to be first, but rather to be last and to serve them all. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. If I were to ask you who the greatest baseball player that ever lived was, what would your answer be? I'm not necessarily asking you to tell me, but the point is we're all going to have different answers, probably. Maybe there'll be some multiples. Who's the greatest composer that ever lived? Who's the greatest evangelist that ever lived? Billy Sunday, Billy Graham, you or me? And how would you measure greatness? You know, we think of Babe Ruth maybe as being one of the greatest players that ever lived because he hit 715 home runs, and then Barry Bonds a few years back hit 755, I think, or something like that. Who's the greatest Christian that ever lived? Jesus? Mother Teresa? Who's the greatest president who ever lived? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, Barack Obama, define what it means to be great. Jesus tells this story in Mark chapter 10 of a day in which the disciples and him must have been walking somewhere on a journey to maybe teach or perform a miracle. And James and John, who were brothers, they were identified in the scriptures as the son of Zebedee, they said, Jesus, we have a question we'd like to pose to you, and that we would like you to do for us what we ask. Now, I'm guessing that they probably thought this was a reasonable request. Otherwise, why would they bother Jesus with it? Obviously, they weren't thinking of the other 10, because the request was, Jesus, when we all get to heaven and we're in God's presence, can we sit on the chair to the left of you and the chair to the right of you? And when I read that, I'm thinking, what must they have been thinking? Were they better than the other 10? Were they more spiritual than the other 10? Did they think they deserved it more? The other 10? And Jesus saw right through whatever was in their mind and their heart, and he says to them, you know, you guys you're asking the wrong question. You're thinking in the wrong way. Your ambition is a little bit misguided and off-center. And he tells them that I can't even award the seats down here on earth. That's God's doing. And then he says to them, you don't even know what you're asking. You think you do. What does Jesus mean by that? Can you drink the cup I drink or be baptized with the baptism I'm baptized with? It's like Jesus is saying, this is before the cross. He's saying, do you realize what lies ahead for me? Do you realize what the cup means for me? Do you realize that I'm going to hang on a cross? I'm going to be beaten and mocked and suffer and die? And it's like he's saying to them, you have no idea what's going to happen soon. Why are you thinking that you're deserving of the left or the right chair? And what's even more incredible, they say, we can. I can almost picture them jumping up in the air and saying, we can, Jesus, we can. And maybe in their heart, they believed they could. Maybe they believed that their faith was strong enough and they would be able to do that. You know, we sometimes have those experiences in our lives when we go through challenges and we realize that, hey, we do have the strength. Greater is the one that is in me than the one that is in the world. And with a sense of assuredness and confidence, we say, yes, I can. But I think in this instance, there we can was maybe a little bit off the mark. Because they couldn't. Pure and simple. I mean, even Peter, the one that you would have thought would have been able to maybe say, we can, and really mean it, and really do it. Even Peter says to Jesus, when he tells him he's going to suffer and die and be beaten and mocked, he said, there's no way that could happen, Jesus. And when they all got to that point in the life where Jesus is in the garden, and he goes and takes the other three with the three disciples with him, what do? Are they praying or what? No, they're sleeping. While Jesus is agonizing over what's about to happen to him. And then he he says to them, he says, there is a way, though, in which you will drink my cup, and you will be baptized with my baptism. And I think what he's thinking of is you're going to face some really hard times after I die and I rise again, and you're going to be persecuted. And there is going to be a cup that you're going to have to bear. And there's going to be a baptism that you're going to have to be a part of as a disciple of mine. When you go out and you face the world in which you will face in the time that's soon to come. And then he reminds them, it's not my right or my left for me to grant. They belong to the people that God has prepared for them, and only God knows. This is the part I love the best about the story. The other 10, they're listening in to this conversation, and they became indignant. They became ticked off. That would be a good word, I think, to describe indignant. How dare James and John presume they're more worthy than us? They were indignant. It's interesting that Jesus doesn't really address their indignation, nor does he address so much James and John's incredible request. Instead, he turns the world upside down on them. He says, do you really want to be great in the eyes of God? Whoever wants to become great must become your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave. Now be honest with me, church. Would you rather be served rather than to serve? Sometimes it's easy to be a servant, right? But suppose the person doesn't appreciate the help you're giving them. It becomes a lot more difficult to serve them, doesn't it? It becomes a lot more difficult to pour your heart and your mind and your soul into the life of people who just abuse it or take advantage of it. And they're not even appreciative of what you've done. Those are the hard moments when it is to be servant. But Jesus says the baseline minimum. You want to be great in God's kingdom? You want to have God's 5 stars? Do you want to be the person God wants you to be? You've got to become a servant. If you want to be first, you have to be a slave. That's not the way the world thinks, is it? I'm sure that's not the way the world operates, does it? The world operates, particularly in the business world, where you climb the ladder. There's kind of like a pecking order. I remember reading somewhere where Leonard Bernstein, the great composer, he made this comment one time. He said, you know, and he was talking about conducting an orchestra and getting all the parts to play in harmony, getting the horns to come in at the right time, and the woodwinds and the drums, and all of the chairs coming in unison. And he said, nobody, in my experience, nobody wants to play second fiddle. Because the human desire is we always want the first chair. Who wants the second or third or fourth chair? When you think about it, that's a pretty good honor, isn't it? To be the fourth violinist of the Philadelphia Harmonic Orchestra, I think would be a pretty high honor. But Bernstein says everybody wants the first chair. Nobody wants the second fiddle. Because everybody thinks they're better than anyone else and everyone else. And yet Jesus says, you want to be great in the kingdom of God, then learn to be a servant. And then he gives us the example of Jesus. He says, Jesus gives the example of his life. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And probably there was no other human being who's ever come and walked on the face of this earth that epitomized a life of serving than Jesus. And ultimately, he gave his life, poured out his blood, shed it on Calvary, his body broken in an act of serving. As a matter of fact, Paul writes in Philippians chapter 2, he says, have this attitude in you which was in Christ Jesus, who though he was in the form of God, became obedient to God and became a servant and died. And the good news, of course, is that he rose again. And the good news even beyond that is one day, Paul says, everybody in all the world will bow their knees at the name of Jesus Christ and recognize that he is Lord of all. Want to be great in God's kingdom? Learn to be a servant. Do you remember the story in Greek mythology of Narcissus? He was a hunter, and Narcissus, he was a hunter, and one day he was walking in the woods and he saw this person called Echo, actually who saw him. And she fell in love with Narcissus and followed him, enamored by him. And she tried to embrace him, but Narcissus wouldn't allow it. And she went away heartbroken and spent the rest of her life wandering around at the lostness and the brokenness of what she thought would be a relationship with him. Eventually she died, brokenhearted. Well, when Nemesis, the Greek god of revenge, found out what happened, he decided he was going to punish Narcissus. And so one summer when Narcissus was thirsty, Nemesis the goddess lured him to a pool of water. And when he leaned over, he saw the image of a beautiful young man. But he did not realize it was an image of himself. And he fell in love with the image. And he was unable to leave that body of water. And he finally realized that the person that stood back at him would never, ever come to reciprocate his love. And as the Greek mythological story concludes, he begins to melt away from the fire of his passion, and eventually he turns into a gold and white flower. Now that's just a mythological story, but there's a point there. When you and I fixate our hearts and our minds and our thinking and our life upon ourselves and make ourselves more important than we really are, we are failing to hear what Jesus is saying. Do you want to be great? Do you want the 5 stars of God's approval? Do you want God to look at the way you live your life and say, well done, thou good and faithful servant? It comes through the acts of serving. Not being first, choosing to be last. Serving because God's love has changed your heart and made you like Jesus. Would you join me as we pray? Father,